Okay, today we're going to demonstrate the proper assembly of a dynamic dolly. We will be building a 420 Type 5, which is a double tongue dolly today. A few things you're going to need. You're going to get your dolly completely packaged up, all banded, ready to go. You're going to need a screwdriver. For this, I'm going to use a cordless screwdriver. You can use a manual as well, but a cordless definitely makes it go a little bit easier. And then you will need either 2 adjustable wrenches or an adjustable wrench and a pair of pliers, and that is it. That is all you will need to complete the assembly. So we'll start first by opening up the box. Inside the box, you will find a complete dolly, all the pieces needed to complete. 2 aft tongue tubes, your axle tube, two forward tongue tubes, 2 wheels, and finally your inner box that will contain all of the fittings, fasteners, and shorter pieces of aluminum. Okay, after opening up the inner box of the 420 dolly, here is a collection of all the parts that should be included in your inner box. When you do open this, right on the top of the inner box is a complete packing list that includes all of the list of all the parts, as well as an assembly instruction, which goes along exactly with what we're doing here. The inside of a 420 box contains 2 bow stanchions, 2 side stanchions, handle tube, keel tube, 2 wheel shafts, your hand grips, all of your plastic joints including 2 elbow fittings, 2 axle fittings, 2 cross fittings, 2 handle fittings, and 2 sling fittings, as well as the sling and all of the fasteners needed to complete the build. Okay, so the first part that I do when I start to assemble my dolly is I always start with the axle and the sling subsection of the dolly. So the first thing that we're going to do is take our fastener bag, open up our fastener bag, and I'm going to segregate out the 4 smaller fasteners. We're going to use 2 per side, and then the longer fasteners, which are used on the rest of the fittings. Once I have those all separated out and I'm ready to go, I'll work on one side of the dolly at a time. So I will open up my axle fitting, making sure that my logo is upright. And I will place all the pieces in place. So here's my axle tube, my upright, and my wheel shaft, and squeeze it together. Goes together very, very easily. I'll then take 2 of my smaller screws and put them in the outermost holes for the wheel shaft. And then continue with the rest of the holes using the regular long screws. I'll then use my screwdriver. There is no wrench needed for the nuts. All the nuts have a recess in the back of the fitting that allow them to be held in place perfectly. When tightening all of your fasteners, always make sure that you use an appropriate torque setting on your screwdriver. You don't want to use the regular screwdriver fitting. That way you don't accidentally strip any of the fastener heads. Just put 1 nut on at a time and go around the fitting, tightening all of the fasteners. Once my axle fitting is tight, I will then take one of my sling fittings, making sure that the tie-down loop is outboard. I'll take my sling. When you put the sling on, you can see that there is one part of the sling that is folded over for stitching. That should always go on the bottom. Just line up the fitting with the sling, put it in place, and then use more of the long screws. Just like the axle fitting, no wrench is required for the nuts. So after completing the second side of the axle subassembly, you'll notice that the sling sometimes looks a little bit taut. Once the pressure is applied to it and it settles down, the sling will be in its proper position for use with your boat. Here we have a completed subassembly for the 420 Dolly. The next thing that we're going to move on to is the aft tongue tube assemblies. When assembling the aft tongue tubes for the Dolly, a couple of things that are important to note. When laying out your tubes, always make sure that you will see that we have some nice little decals. These will indicate the top of the tube. You'll then take your cross fitting and place it on top of the tube before assembling it. It's important to note that you make sure that all of your hex head recesses are facing forward. Again, using the longer fasteners. And your cordless screw gun. This is the proper orientation of an aft tongue tube. After completing the assembly of the second aft tongue tube, we'll then move over and complete the forward tongue tube assembly. When assembling the forward tongue tube assembly, we'll start first by laying out our forward tongue tubes, which we'll orient making sure that we've noted the top by the stickers, and then orienting the larger holes used for locating the keel tube so that they're facing one another. From here, we'll assemble the two sides separately and then bring them together. Use one of your elbow fittings. You'll notice the orientation of the stiffening ribs on the elbow fitting. This larger piece will always fit towards the bottom. When placing your bow stanchion, it's important that the dynamic logo always face in towards the boat. Once the elbow is completely in place, we'll then fasten it using 4 more of the long fasteners and nuts. Just like on the axle fitting, every fitting has a recess for the hex head nut so that it does not require the use of a wrench when attaching. Once the elbow fitting is in place, I'm then going to place one of the handle fittings. Similar to using the sling fitting, it's important to make sure that the tie-down eyelet is facing forward on your handle fitting. This will be fastened in place using 2 of the longer screws. From here, I'm going to complete the other side, and then we'll assemble it using the handle fitting and the keel tube. Now that we've completed both sides of the tongue tubes, we're going to complete the assembly. So it's important when you lay out your tongue tubes, again, that you note that the larger holes are inboard. This is going to allow the installation of the keel tube. So first we're going to start with the handle tube, which is placed in position in between the 2 handle fittings. Then we're going to place the keel tube in. And then the keel tube fastening rod. The keel tube fastening rod sometimes takes a little bit to get through the hole. Once the end is through, just place the acorn nut completely on and then finger tighten. Now it's important, this is the one part of the dolly that you'll need to use tools other than your cordless screwdriver to hold the acorn nut and then tighten the other side. It is important that you tighten these down. A lot of people will only finger tighten them, but if that happens, it's very easy, and potentially you will lose these nuts when using the dolly, and then you won't have anything stabilizing the front of your tongue tubes. After the keel tube is in place, then we're going to place the handle fittings onto the handle tube. Very straightforward. Place it over the end and then push lightly from the very end of the tube, and we'll go right into place. Repeat on the other side. And then twist into place, and the forward tongue tube assembly is complete. From here, we now have all of our major sub-assemblies complete, and we are ready to finish assembling the dolly. Okay, here we have our 3 major sub-assemblies all laid out, ready to assemble into the final dolly. So it's going to be important to notice that we have matching decals on the forward and aft tongue tubes. So first, we're going to assemble our forward and aft tongue tubes. Once you've assembled the forward and aft tongue tubes, the tongue is complete now. You should have left for fasteners either 4 long screws with nuts if you choose to permanently mount your tongue tube, or if you want to make it so that it's very easy to assemble and disassemble, particularly for traveling to regattas, you should have 4 bolts and 4 wing nuts. This will allow the dolly to be quickly assembled and disassembled. This is the method we will use for the video. Again, if you wanted to make it a more permanent fixture, you can use your screws with the hex nuts. Now that we've selected the fasteners that we're going to use, we're just going to assemble the axle fitting onto the tongues. You want to try to generally line up the holes. It fits very nicely so that you don't have to bang it very hard. and you're going to take your hex head bolt, pass it through from front to aft. This is where the hex head recess in the cross fitting is important. It allows you to just place the wing nuts and tighten. From here, all we need to do is place the wheels. For each wheel, you'll notice that the stem has a 90-degree bend in it, allowing you to face the stem outboard for filling or for adjusting your air pressure depending on your conditions. Make sure that's facing outboard. Gently push in on the quick release and slide the wheel into place. Complete the dolly by placing the second wheel, again, lightly depressing the stop button. From here, if you choose to, you can use the provided security screws, which will screw in from the bottom, allowing you to more permanently lock your wheels onto your wheel shaft. For this display, we are not going to use these at this time, so that you could quickly disassemble your dolly. Now that the dolly is complete and your wheels are in place, your dolly is complete, ready for use. Your boat can be placed on it and ready for launch. Please visit us at www.dynamicdollies.com for any information regarding any of our products. Thank you very much for listening.